Arctic Race of Norway Stage 1, one of my favourite shorter .pro stage races. I'll always remember that Bargi-Lutsenko GC battle from a few years ago. The first stage, 142 k's long, hilly circuit at the end with 4 climbs, and the crest of the last one was about 2.5 k's from the finish, 1100 metres at 7.5%. So if you had a 3 to 5 second gap and were able to rail the descent, you were a good chance of beating the quick men. The ones we had here included Alexander Kristoff, Fabio Ferlini's quite quick, Danny Van Poppel, Juan Jose Labato, Martin Lass, and Brian Cockard. It was a pretty relaxed race for the most part for the first 120 k's of it or so. There was a breakaway of 4 riders, including Brzezinski for Astana, and Alexei Gujard was the strongest for Agitateur Citroën. He would attack them later. But I saw this on Twitter yesterday. I'm not sure if it's true or if it's a G-up. I couldn't tell. It was either from Innering or Amateur Pirelli. They were asking the question, and I need confirmation from the Norwegians down below, as there was a counterattack that didn't go anywhere. I need confirmation. Does the KOM winner of this race win 500 kilograms of salmon? Is it wild caught? Is it farm salmon? I don't know. Either or, does that make a difference? But Brzezinski for Astana was the rider going for those KOM points. He took the most today, so he'll be in that jersey tomorrow. But that just seems like a lot of salmon. Like, do you get it delivered all at once? Is it the most outrageous prize in cycling? I know, is it Trobriand you get a live baby pig? Like, are you supposed to fend for it? Is it just a voucher you get that you can use at participating Norwegian supermarkets? That's not particularly useful if you're Brzezinski in Kazakhstan. But anyway, they did this lap on an island to the west of Tromsø, and then they make their way back over this bridge back to Tromsø, and then they begin the hilly circuit with 4 climbs and flat in between. As I said, that chase group didn't really go anywhere, and it was Gujard in the group of 3, the coupe rider. I think the Conti rider had been dropped as they got onto this hilly circuit, Brzezinski taking more KOM points. And the question was, who was going to control behind? Intermarché were doing a fair bit of work for Odd Christian Eiking, B&B as well for Brian Cockard. He's pretty quick and he gets over these sort of climbs as long as there's not a Matthew Van der Poel style rider launching over them. He gets over them pretty well. Gujard then attacked that group of 2 and that was it. He went solo, holding about 25 to 35 seconds on the peloton in his circuit, who were sort of attacking each other behind. So that was why he was able to dangle for so long. But you realise why Van der Poel's done so well at this sort of race, or Trentin, those style of riders, with the style of these circuits. They have shorter races and then like a drag uphill finish, or the climbs are only, 1k at 7%. Perfect for Mathieu Van der Poel. I was kind of surprised UnoX didn't bring Rasmus Tiller to this race. Maybe there's a reason I'm missing it. Maybe I'm overrating his climbing, but I think even tomorrow Rasmus Tiller would be a really strong rider. But I mean, they're not complaining, spores after today. Gujard eventually got caught, I think, on the 3rd last climb, and it was Warren Barguil, rather than his teammates, on the 2nd last climb. He attacked on that 1k 7% climb, and there was still like 10 kilometers to go. Yes, there was a counter attack, but then he wasn't within in that counter attack. So I would have thought he would have rather had his teammates upping the pace if they could to drop the likes of Danny Van Poppel or put pressure on Alexander Kristoff and Brian Cockard. But anyway, he got brought back on the last descent. It was Odd Christian Eiking attacking for Intermarché. It was Warren Barguil again, and Victor Lefebvre for Cofidis, who won that Giro stage from a breakaway in the first week. And it was Brian Cockard bridging across to them. He'd done this, I think it was at GP Marseillais where Perepintra won. He has Markus Hulgaard and Andres Leknesund, the 2 Norwegians, on his wheel, and as they get over the crest, there's a shorter sort of false flat section here where Hulgaard attacks before the descent proper starts. Leknesund, DSM rider, gets onto his wheel, and Odd Christian Eiking, Barguil, Lefebvre, and Cockard begin freewheeling. They get a 3 to 5 second gap just like that, with there being only about 2 k's from this point and barely any flat to the finish, and Hulgaard has the heads up play in the corner before the k to go. He saw that Leknesund was off the wheel. He railed that corner super hard before this Flamme Rouge banner. Here's what he had to say about that strategy.
Yeah, I knew I cannot wait for the sprint, so the plan was to go on the top, and then I saw Leknesund did a bad first corner, so then I just went full gas in the downhill and hoped to get a gap.
And getting a gap he did. He came 8th in E3, did well in Amstel Gold Race. I love what UnoX are doing. I think they're trying to become World Tour pretty soon. They wanted to have the women's team, Women's World Tour this year. We had Alexander Kristoff sprinting behind the quickest sprinter, I think, in this race, gapping Cockard easily, who came 3rd. Markus Hulgaard is really good. On his day, he's a good sort of light hilly classics rider like Brabantse-Pijl. And he's 26 years old, not like a young prospect, with 1 year to run still on his X deal in 2022. But I don't know if he has a buyout clause or not, but if I was De Koning Quickstep, Jumbo-Visma in particularly wanting help for Wout van Aert in the mixture of races that he does and it does well in, Marcus Hulgaard is the sort of rider I would be looking at. He's really good, but I'll be interested to see what happens. Will the likes of De Koning pick him up for their classics team, or will he wait for his X contract to expire and then re-sign with them if they're World Tour level? Here's the top 10. Hulgaard first, Christophe, Coquard, Asvold, Patastella, Soto, Angolo, Bargi, Venturini, and then Amy de Gent 10th. If you want to watch the Arctic Race of Norway, I've got the link in the description to the race website with all the broadcasters. As I said, here's the overhead with Christophe. Way quicker than anybody else, at least the ones that made it over the climb. Tomorrow's stage, I think, suits him a little bit more. 177 k's, yes, longer climbs, but not as steep and not as close to the finish. It should be a fight between him, Coquard, Danny Van Poppel, Juan Jose Lobato type riders. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I love shining a little bit of a light on these smaller stage races. I particularly enjoyed how X have raced this year. If you aren't following the Norwegian Pro Conti circuit, then reevaluate what you're doing in your life. And I'll see you at the stage 2 recap tomorrow.